Welcome back, traders and investors, to Benzinga's pre-market prep, brought to you by MarketFi. I'm your co-host Joel Elconin, along with Brianna Valesky, and we have Adam Gefvert on the line. He's a CFA and head of research for White Diamond Research. Adam, how you doing this morning?
Hi, doing great. Great show. This is the first time I've listened to it.
Oh, thank you. So give us a little bit about your education and your background, and tell us about White Diamond Research.
All right, well, I'm a chartered financial analyst, charter holder, and I've White Diamond Research. We do research for hedge funds and high net worth individuals, so they can outsource research, so they don't need to hire an analyst in house. They can just use us, and we can give them advice about maybe some good investment ideas. Usually ones with catalysts. Usually we recommend holding our positions maybe about a month, a couple months, maybe even a couple weeks if there's like an upcoming catalyst for it.
Okay, and do
So
you conduct your own independent research? But also, when I was looking at your site, I mean, you like to talk to the hedge funds themselves and kind of get a feeling for what they're looking at. They're willing to share that information with you.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I can research the stuff that they're looking at. I can do research for them on what they're looking at. Also, I have my own research and I can give them advice. Like usually we do short ideas. Most of our we have a good track record. If you go to the site whitediamondresearch.com, you can see our track record, what the price of the stock was when before we posted about it. And yeah, mostly we look for stocks that are overvalued or have gotten pumped or are in some way. So.
Okay, and you've done some work on Organova Holdings. Tell us about your research into that stock.
Yeah, well, in the past there's been a lot of bearish articles about this company, but I've done some research that goes beyond what other people have done. I've interviewed a lot of their competitors and people in the industry. And just as a full disclosure, at this very moment I don't have a short position in Organovo, and the stuff I'm going to say is my opinion. There hasn't been a whole lot of research on the company's technology, which that alone is a very bearish sign. If they have this very cutting edge technology, they should be in every single scientific journal out there. They should be really pushing that, but they don't. But so therefore, I have to say this is my opinion. But I am very bearish on the company. Yeah, did you have any specific questions about the company or?
Well, they were supposed to supposedly be reproducing organs, right? Was that through 3D printing technology? Wasn't that the story and the impetus for the rally? I mean, I think it was last year that it had the big rally. I mean, that's just you haven't heard much about that. Is that what their focus is supposed to be?
Well, it is, but the thing is, that's in order to actually reproduce an organ is we never been able to do that. Technology's been trying to do that for 20 years, and I was speaking with one of Organo's competitors, Dawn Applegate, which is she's this PhD founder of Regenemed. Um, the only companies that have been able to do actually reproducing organ tissues is a company called Organogenesis, and the other one is let me see what I have here. There's um, Organogenesis and Advanced Tissue Sciences, and that came out way back in 1998. They are able, and those products are still on the market, but they're only making a couple $100 million per year. So to be able to recreate like complex organs like a heart, even a kidney, we're at least a decade away from being able to do that and actually insert it in somebody's body. Now, what we can do right now is we can create like representative of an organ in order to do tests on. Now that the income from that is much lower than therapeutic. Be able to place somebody's organ in someone's body, but they can do organs in order to test drugs on to make sure the tests work. You follow what I'm saying? Make sure the
Yeah,
drug works.
yeah, no,
You know?
and how
Yeah.
about a couple weeks ago? Didn't it come out that I believe this company was in some talks to 3D printing for food, right? When we were like we were getting a big kick out of that. Boy, like how are you going to reproduce something on a printer, especially something like food? Have you come across any of that information in your research?
To be honest, no, I never heard. You're
Yeah.
saying Organovo is talking about it, or another
Was
company?
it Organova, Brent, or was it
No.
I
another?
believe it was 3D Systems,
Oh,
actually. I
okay.
think so.
It
3D
was.
Systems working with whatever government entity on advancing development of 3D printing food.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But okay, so you like to focus, on the short side, and boy, what a dangerous task that is here with these biotechs here. And so how do you do it? Do you when you identify a company, and you're making these recommendations, do you try and do it, through puts, or do you try, or do you let the institutions, execute it the way that they best deem fit?
Well, they do what they best deem fit. My clients, they need to be their own judge on how they uh, use the stock. I mean, I don't get paid on their return on the stocks. If I said short the stock, they shorted and they made money. I just get paid a flat research fee. So however well they do is irrelevant as far as I go. I mean,
Hmm.
directly anyway. But that usually generally did probably just short the stock because puts, if you're going to use puts, you have to be sure that the stock's going to fall in the near future. There's got to be like a real solid hard catalyst to buy puts.
Okay, and anything on your radar right now besides the Organova is something that from your research, a little bit of skepticism about the price.
Well, there's Globalstar, GSAT is the symbol, and I did an article on there. It actually got published on TheStreet.com.
Hmm.
Um, and I just want to say one other thing with Organovo though. That's as people are listening, want to hear a little bit more about this. Is well, the first of all, they don't have any real institutional. They don't have any like real healthcare investors. They have mostly retail investors that invest in it, and the only institutions are index funds, institutional funds that have to own Organovo because of the index, and you can see that by looking at Yahoo Finance. And the one thing in particular, they had this product that just came out in November about liver cells, liver tissues that is already out there. There's already companies make 3D liver tissues in order to test pharmaceutical drugs on, and what Organovos is making really isn't anything new. And in fact, their 3D printer doesn't help the process because the liver tissues, the cells, they self-assemble. So they put the hepatocytes on a dish, and then the hepatocytes, which is the main cell in the liver, they self-assemble on their own. So you don't need a 3D printer ahead of time in order to put the cells on a dish. Because even Organovo themselves say that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, so they're not really coming up with anything. What's your bear case for Global Star?
Well, with Globalstar, they own the rights to a channel, Wi-Fi channel, channel 14. That's 2.4 gigahertz. And the problem with 2.4 gigahertz is it's crowded, and also it's it penetrates walls easier than 5 gigahertz. But because it penetrates very easily, it gets in the way of other signals, and that means 2.4 gigahertz is not being used as much anymore. It's still being used a lot, but it's mostly for older devices. So what the FCC is doing now, the government body that oversees Wi-Fi channels, is they're pushing more. They're encouraging people to use 5 gigahertz because it's better to use 5 gigahertz right now for newer technology, and that's where Wi-Fi is going right now. So it's questionable whether Globalstar will be able to monetize the 2.4 gigahertz because people are using 5 gigahertz now, and there's over 25 channels with 5 gigahertz. There's plenty of room there, so there's no reason for anybody to pay for Wi-Fi use with all the available channels out there. So basically the question goes to how is Globalstar going to monetize? How are they going to be able to sell their channel? How are they going to be able to make any money off of it?
Interesting. Okay. All right. Moving on. Do you have anything? I mean, I know you like to, do short as well as long recommendations here. Been a kind of choppy market. Is there anything that you have on your buy radar?
Well, buy. Yeah, I'd have to give that a little bit of thought. Buy radar. I do focus on shorts.
Okay.
Um, I also I do I do lots of I look for I do trading as well, so you can follow me on Twitter. And
Okay.
I put in my trades right there. Hold on a second. Yeah. Okay. Um. So yeah.
Okay.
So
All right.
basically,
All right. Let's go back to
yeah.
more some of your shorts. I mean, now you look at the
Okay.
fundamentals of the company and you analyze them. Then do you to pinpoint your trades? Do you go to the charts? Do you use technical analysis at all?
Yeah. Actually, I do. For trades like that are I'm trading. I trade my own money often, and technologically, yeah, I think it is important to see that, see reversals in stocks. Like for example, if I'm bearish on a company, but then I see in the chart today it was down a lot, but then it's reversing going up. I might wait for it to continue its uptrend before shorting it.
Okay, and
So,
just to close out the interview here, we're on with Adam Gefvert. He's the CFA and head of research for White Diamond Research. Volatile year so far in the markets. Just any advice for our listeners?
um, I guess just look for trends. I think I've seen that one trend in this market is intraday trends. Often when when the market has a certain attitude during the day, it usually keeps going the full day. These trends seem to go the full day, but whether that trend will continue the next day is questionable. So often, I see these things like some of this like Vigil. I think is a good short. That's one I have on my website. That one day, it can be pumped one day, or an analyst will say something, and the stock could go sky high one day, but then the next day it'll fade and it'll continue fading the days after that. So I would say look for changes from day to day.
Okay, all right. Adam Gifford, CFA and head of research for White Diamond Research, joining us here on Benzinga's pre-market prep. Adam, thanks for joining us. We hope to talk to you again soon.
Great, thank you. Bye.